Alright guys, welcome back to Sponge's Tech Tips. I'm Sponge. Thanks for tuning in. Working on a Hyundai. What is this thing? Hyundai, this might be a Sonata maybe. Let me see what the key says. Yeah, Hyundai Sonata. Key tag says it's a 16. Let's check the date real quick, the production date, just so we know. March of 2016 production date. So what we got going here is the customer was locked out of their trunk. And just to show you what was going on here, if you push the little button underneath, you can hear it clicking, but it's not opening. Okay? And if you push the inside button, I don't know if you guys can hear that. It's also clicking, but not opening, okay? Now, typically, when this happens, you would use your key. Up underneath the back here, there's a key hole. And if we put the key in there, we're supposed to turn it and it's supposed to unlock it. But we've got two keys. They start the engine, or the motor, if you will. But unfortunately, they don't turn in this tumbler. So I'm not sure if this tumbler's damaged. Somebody may have tried to break into it at some point in time. Maybe the key has been replaced, but that is locked up and doesn't move, okay? So, your next thought would be to go in through the trunk, okay? Now I'm going to press pause here for just a second, and then I will get back to you. I want to make sure that I don't mess anything up here. So let's. Okay, so the problem we run into here is there's no levers on the inside to release these seats. Okay, these seats are locked into position. There's some switches, or not switches, but there's some little access panels for your child seats. You know, the one where you don't use the belt. But unfortunately, you can't bring these seats forward unless you can get in the trunk. And if we slide the center console forward, you would think there'd be an access here, but there isn't. There's no access, okay? So somebody wasn't thinking when they did this. So if you can't get into your trunk, you can't open your trunk. And if your trunk's closed and locked, you can't get into it. So I'm gonna show you the only way that I found to get in there. So what you need to do is you need to remove your bottom seat cushion, okay? And to do this, you want to reach underneath the front and you want to pull it up, okay? Now the front's going to pop, but it's still going to stay secured. You're going to go over to the passenger side, do the same thing, grab underneath, kind of in the center of the seat, pull it up and pop. Now, it's still not going to come out. And I already released this because it's hard to hold the camera and show you, but there's a bar right in here that hooks under a hook. So to get it out the rest of the way, you want to climb into the seat, put your knees against the front of the back seat and push it in the back position, okay? When you push in that back position, it'll pop free, and then you can lift the whole thing up and pull it out, okay? I'm going to show you the little hook so you can see what we're talking about. See this little hook? There's one on each side. And that's going underneath a bar. So even though you unhook the front out of this, it's not going to come off until you push it back and release it from this little hook, okay? All right, once you get that out, take that whole seat out of there. Let's set it on the ground, okay? Now from this point, let's go over the tools you're going to need. You're going to need a 12 millimeter socket and a wrench, maybe an extension, not super necessary. And you're going to need a 10 millimeter box in I recommend the ratcheting. And you may need a panel popper for moving some stuff around. But it's basically those two, okay? The first thing we're going to do after we get that seat out, the next thing I should say, we're going to take out the bolt at the bottom of this bolster, okay? That's your 12 millimeter. Now I already loosened mine, just to speed everything up. You're going to loosen that. Remove it, set it aside, okay? Now from here, you're going to grab the bottom of the bolt. Oh, I should say, I recommend the passenger side, not the driver's side. The passenger side's a bigger seat. You can actually get a little bit more room by using the passenger side because it's a 60-40, 40 being on the driver's side and 60% being on the passenger side. So, okay, so grab the bolster from the bottom, lift it up, which raises it up. And then that unhooks the top, and then you can pull the bolster forward and then go ahead and unhook it from the seat belt right there. And now your bolster is out. So one bolt, let's set that aside. Okay, next thing you're going to do. On the bottom connection point of the passenger side of the rear seat back, there are two bolts, 1 and 2. These are 10 millimeter. You're going to use your 10 millimeter box-in wrench. It's hard to fit a socket because you don't have a ton of room. You're going to break those free. I've already loosened mine. You're going to remove those completely. Sorry guys, moving the camera around a little bit here. Okay, 2 10 millimeter bolts removed, set those aside. Okay, the next thing you're going to do, you're going to take this metal bracket, you're going to pull it towards you and remove it. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. There we go, sorry. That's the bracket you're removing, okay? Set that with your bolts so you don't lose it. All right, next thing you're going to want to do, and this is what I find handy for a panel popper, but you can use anything. You're going to pull the bottom of the seat out, and you're going to wedge it in the out position. Let me do this first, and then I'll show you. You got to put a lot of leverage on this thing to get it to come out. There we go. Okay, let me show you what I did. So I have pried the bottom of the seat out and wedged it with my panel popper, but you can use anything. And what this has now done, it has given you access to the inside of the trunk, okay? Now it's not good access, but it's the best you can do here. I've now opened the trunk just so so you can have some light and whatnot in there, so, okay? And then the next thing we're gonna do, you need to have a long tool. I'm using this long rod. And you're going to carefully slide this up into the trunk area. And you're going to reach. Then this is not easy and it's not comfortable. So you can see right there, when that trunk's closed, you use the rod and you're going to reach for the emergency escape latch. Okay, it's glow in the dark. You're going to find that and push on it. You should throw a light in there, maybe you can see. Okay, let me see if we can. See if we can see. There, you can see it glowing. That's what you're going to be reaching for, guys. Okay, once you pop that, that's how you're going to get in there. Okay, so I should have showed you. I don't know why it's not popping now. Let me press pause for a second here and we'll get it open and I'll let you know what's going on here. Okay guys, so let me show you what happened. Sorry to press pause a couple times there on the camera, but I'm trying to figure this out and I don't want to lock myself out of here. So on this trunk assembly, there is a valet switch. Okay, it's this little switch right here. You see the unlock and the lock. This customer threw this somehow into the lock position. Okay, so once it's in the locked position, if it's closed, let's say the trunk's closed. Oh, hold on. We got to lock it and then put it in the lock position. Okay. All right, now it's in the lock position. Okay. So once it's in the lock position and closed, you hear it clicking, but it's not opening. Okay. Now, if it's in the unlocked position, which is right there, okay, let's press the button again. Now it opens, okay? So what happened, this customer accidentally put this into the locked position, which isn't difficult to do. Maybe they were shutting it on something, maybe they had something hanging out and it hit this as it came down. But the problem we run into is the key doesn't work in this tumbler, okay? So they got it locked in the valet, but they didn't have the key to unlock it, okay? So guys, make sure that key works. Make sure you don't monkey with this thing. It's a dumb little tab. I don't even know why it's there. Horrible design. But now you know how to get into the trunk. And then just to show you a close-up, this is what you're after. That's what you're gonna push with your rod when you get in there, okay? That's what you're gonna grab. It moves, in this particular vehicle, US model, it moves towards the passenger side, from the driver's side of the passenger. There's actually an arrow that shows you, and if you have a light in there or it's glowing, you can see which way it wants to go to open it. And that doesn't matter if it's in the valet or not. That will unlock it. That'll get you back into that position. So, all right guys, so hopefully this helps you out. We looked all over online and couldn't find any other advice on how to get in here, so I had to figure it out on my own. Unfortunately, the little handles here and here, these are the only ways to unlock those seats, and there's no way to access those or that cable without getting into this trunk. So if you get locked out of your trunk, the only way to do it is to release that bottom and sneak in there. You know, unless you have a little, maybe you own an elf or some sort of a gnome that can slide in there for you if it's that small. If not, you need to have some sort of a long metal rod or maybe a wooden stick to get in there. So, all right guys, hopefully this helps you out. We couldn't find any help online, so I'm going to post this up, and hopefully the next person that has the same problem, I can't imagine this customer is the only one, but hopefully the next person that has this problem can use our tech tip to get in their trunk. All right guys, do me a favor, make sure to like this video if it helped you out, subscribe to the channel for more tech tips, and leave a comment if this helped you out. I'd love to hear. If you have any other ideas, let me know, because I can't find anything. So, all right guys, we'll see you on the next one.